Right, so today we're going to go through how to do the workshop with the electromagnetic sphere, where we will be building one of these. So we will be going through what's in the box as well as how to build it. So this is really for network coordinators. Okay, so you will need to have ordered the 22mm plastic pipe that we've used for rocket launchers from Screwfix. People need a 2 metre length of that each. A box of screws, and I think they also come from Screwfix. I'll put all the details on the website. And then you will need to order from Rapid the plastic koi flute sheets, and everybody needs 2 of these. They come with some black. I don't. Some people have used the black. I wouldn't count on it. So one of these will do 4 people, because they'll need 2 sheets of this, and then they can select different colours. Okay. Now, this workshop is based on a paper that was in this issue of Physics Education, an apparatus for constructing an electromagnetic plane wave model. Okay, and the differences with this version is they've used dowels instead of plastic. And they end up with something that's very nice, but it's far more in need of build time than this version. Okay, so in the box, in the box of tools, now you don't need the box to do the workshop. But it will probably make life a bit quicker. So in the box we have these 2 things that go in the top. So these are for mounting up on clamp stands, and then putting the you'll see one is clear, right? Putting people's rods in between to show if you polarization. So you've either got all of the waves lined up and coherent, or you haven't, right? And then they can take a picture from the end because this one is clear, right? It's probably just as easy to get them to hold them. Then we have cutting mats. Okay, lots of cutting mats. These are cutting mats. The drill goes straight through them. Okay, so you will need lots of cardboard for drilling. And then we have some cutters. These, which are templates, first aid kit, drills. These are little hand drills, very useful. Screwdrivers, and tape measures. A whole ruck of drill bits. Screwdrivers, electric screwdrivers, which we have 4. and then these wooden templates, okay, for drawing the lobes. And this, you'll see the importance of this. And there's also rulers, some little rulers in there. So this is set up for sort of for groups of about 8 to 12, and the workshop takes an hour, and that's just building. And if you've got more than 12, it really will take the hour. Okay. Oh, and then one other thing that I missed is pens. Lots of marker pens. So if you make your own template like this, which could be made out of a piece of this, so if you've already made one, you've probably got it, then you don't really need this template. It's useful, and then the rest of the stuff is just tools. So if you can get hold of screwdrivers, especially the electric ones, and Stanley knives, okay, I missed the Stanley knives, then or tough good scissors, then that's it really. These you only, I mean, you could cut these beforehand. It's not a big job. It's only one cut each. Okay, so I'm just going to stop there and tidy up before we start making. Okay, so first things first, you need to make sure you know where the first aid kit is. You need to have put down some cutting mats, right, and everybody needs to choose 2 pieces of their cory flute, preferably different colours, because they want to be able to show off the different lobes when they're talking about the waves. And you're also going to need marker pen and Stanley knife and one of the templates. Okay, so first thing to do is mark out the lobes. This is important. You probably won't be able to see it, but we can. The corrugations run, they have a grain, they run in one direction. When we mark out the lobes, we don't want it with the corrugations going across. Right? That's no, because we want to put the lobes onto the screws. Right, so we're going to shove the screws up inside the corrugations. Okay, and because we can do that, and because the corrugations are all the way along, if we have them up this way, then it means we can move the lobes up and down, or take them off, or whatever. Okay, but they're not fixed in place. So, line your cory flute up with the corrugations running down. Take the template and draw around it, and you don't need to make this too exact. The templates are a little bit bumpy in places, but that doesn't matter, because by the time you've hacked this to death with the knife, it won't be that precise anyway. Okay, but on each one we should have, each sheet we should have 4 of these. Okay, and then we can be ready to cut that out. Okay. So Stanley knife. Okay, and then just press down. Now, as you go through the coy flute, you can feel the bumps. It sends you off course quite a lot. Okay, and you're tending to go through the one surface, but if you turn it over, you can see the other surface. Okay, or you can just lift it slightly and press through. Okay, as I say, it's not really going to make a lot of difference. There's a few bumps. Okay, so we're going to do that, and we're going to end up with 4 of these this colour and 4 in a different colour. Okay. Okay, right, on to the next bit. We need to cut the white plastic so that there's enough room for you to grip, right, either at the ends or in the middle. Right, if there's a bit of a space in the middle, it helps. Okay, so these are about 30, so we've got 2 waves, so that's about 120, and then we want a little bit extra. So the exact size doesn't matter. But certainly more than 120, else you don't get anything left. So we're going to go for, say, with this about 150. Okay, and we're going to, or you're going to use, well, anybody can use these cutters, which you open like that. Okay, go over the pipe. Okay, and then these ratchet down. Okay, so nice and slow. And you're left with this end. Now, if you want to, and if they've done it all okay, on this you could write wavelength and put some arrows. Okay, and use that with your wave for showing where one wavelength, where one wavelength it comes to. Okay, so it doesn't quite reach on my version, or a flute. So we've got our length of pipe. Now we need to mark it. So we're going to take this template, and this has already got holes drilled in. Exact position of the holes doesn't matter, but this has got end written on the end. Okay, or on one end. It doesn't have end written on the other end. Okay, so the end that has got end written on goes over the end of the pipe. Okay, and then lines up flush with that end. Okay, then you take your permanent marker pen and you mark all of the dots. Okay, and that's going to happen on both ends. Now, the exact position of these holes doesn't matter as long as we can get the lobes on. But when people take off this template, okay, and do the other end, what they need to make sure is that the holes are lined up. Okay, so I'll do this with another template, okay, which has also got end written on it. So stick that over. Perfect fit. Okay, and what we want is the holes that are on the top of here to line up with the holes that are on that one. Okay, and that's near enough. Okay, so then I can mark these as well. Okay, but I could have done that. Well, in the workshop we just use one, take it off, turn it round, stick it on the other end. But just so you can see what I'm talking about, I did it with two. Okay, if they've missed a dot, or it hasn't come out, or it gets smeared off or something, it really doesn't matter, because you can sort of guess by eye roughly where they're going. Okay, and then that comes off, and we should have our holes all marked in place. Then we're going to drill the holes. We want something, I've got an old piece of wood, it could be a pack of cardboard, something to drill onto. The cutting mats aren't happy with the drill. The drill will go straight through. Okay, now this wants to be done by people in pairs. So that one person can hold the pipe while the other drills it. Okay, and these are just little hand drills, and these are perfectly adequate for popping through the holes. So all we need to do is get this as upright as possible. You can see why I need another pair of hands. Okay, and what will inevitably happen is that it won't go straight. So don't worry too much about that. Oh, okay, missed the table, that's the main thing. So then what we've got to do is where all the dots are, we've got to go back, drill these and put the holes in. Okay. Okay. So we've drilled all our holes in our tube. Now we've got to put the screws in, which are quite long and quite sharp, so be careful with the ends. The thing to think about is where the lobes are going to go. Okay, so if we look at, for instance, this green one, the screws are sticking out this way. Right, on this lobe they'll be sticking out in the opposite direction. So this pair's that way, this pair's that way, next one over here is that way, right, and likewise with the top, it's top two are going up, then we have two going down, two going up, two going down. Okay, what you really don't want to do is to end up taking these screws out, because it takes long enough to put them in as it is, and this is the bit of the workshop where things tend to go slow. So again, you could have one person, if they're working in pairs, starting these screws off with the hand screwdriver. Okay, and they're just going to go through the holes. So if they follow the holes, and there isn't much of a guarantee that they will, but if they do, if they follow the holes, it's easy enough. Okay, but we do have these electronic screwdrivers, they need to be plugged in before you start. Okay, make sure they're charged up. Okay, make sure they're going in the right direction, and then these will just whiz through. Okay, so we'll end up with 16 of these screws sticking out in different directions all along the pipe. Okay, and the final thing for people to do is they've got their lobes which they've already made, so they're just going to stick these on, right, press them down into the corrugations, and that's it, job done. Okay, for people who are travelling, you might like to order some raw plugs so that they can take the lobes off and then put the raw plugs over the screw. Okay, so they haven't got some deadly weapon that they're carrying on the train. Okay.